I will fight till the end. Doesn't matter what the world brings against me. I will fight till the end. Doesn't matter what people...
Good afternoon, Richmond, Virginia. My name is Chris Saxman. I am substitute hosting for Amanda Chase and her radio show, her weekly town hall here on AM 820, The Answer, WNTW, located here in Chester, Virginia. Amanda Chase, senator from Chesterfield County, has this weekly town hall she calls Cut to the Chase. So let's start cutting to the chase as soon as we can on politics. I'd also like to introduce who's in the studio with me here, interns with Senator Chase's office, Miss Madison Harry from Caroline County. Say hello, Madison.
Hello.
Closer to the microphone, please.
Hello.
There you go. And Will Fahrenholt from Gloucester County.
Hello.
There you go. That was great. You guys are fantastic.
Radio ready.
That's right. That's right. Both students at VCU, millennial voters, both of whom voted in the last election. And for the first time, I'd imagine. Will, was that the first time for you?
Second.
Second time. Okay. Good.
In a general.
In a general. Okay. Presidential general.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2012 and 2016.
Yep.
There you go. I've voted more than that in my time.
Times.
A couple times. Being 51 years of age, I had the opportunity to vote as early as 1988 in my first presidential election. Even though I was eligible in 1984 in college at Washington University as a sophomore, I did not vote for President Reagan. I didn't vote. I wasn't registered to vote. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Right. Back then, it wasn't politics wasn't as pervasive in our society and our culture as it is now. I think I remember the time supporting President Reagan for re-election in 1984. Most of my college friends in the fraternity I lived in were all gathered around the television watching it, but we weren't really as bought into, I think, it as y'all are. So I think it's a testament to you and also to the culture that we are educating our young people to get more involved politically. Our oldest daughter, Mary Catherine, worked on an organization's campaign this year, AARP, and she was hired by them, by an outfit that got out the AARP message to candidates, and they would go around to various sundry events and would wear these red T-shirts. And then she got to meet Mike Pence, got a picture with Mike Pence, got to go backstage with Tim Kaine, Senator Tim Kaine, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, got very close to other candidates throughout the election cycle, which is very exciting. But what she did almost all the time was grind out phone calls, go see people, try to get the message out, and all they're trying to do is get people to take a stand on whatever their issue was. So she's seen it from a very different perspective because you probably don't know my political history, I served in the House of Delegates from 2002 to 2010. And so my children grew up in the business of politics, grew up with daddy signs. We used to call them daddy signs. We'd drive down the road and it'd be, oh, look, daddy signs. And, it was kind of a fun way to experience it at a more family level. So I commend you both for being engaged politically and voting, because that's what it comes down to, right? That's what it comes down to. So here on the Amanda Chase Show, WNTW, AM 820, we'll be talking politics, the election. If you hadn't heard, Donald Trump won.
Yes. He
He is the president-elect. And the constant banter out of New York in the transition is who's going to be doing what, right? Who's going to be the next Secretary of State? Oh, my gosh. And they've had, I don't know, half a dozen names already thrown out there. The most recent one is former Governor Mitt Romney, Will. Now, if you've never heard about this, and people are, Michael Savage on who precedes this portion of the radio show, he was up in arms. Oh, this is in the liberal establishment, the Republican Party, right? And this is the way things go. And I think it's brilliant of the campaign. It continues. You never stop campaigning in politics. Is that they're constantly floating out these names to keep the attention not necessarily on Trump, but on the other people, so they can get their work done. Having served in the transition of Governor McDonnell in his transition in 2009-2010 as co-chairman of the K-12 transition team, I can tell you it's chaotic. What they're trying to do and assemble is inordinate. It's a mash. It's a push. Because you can imagine all the people from all over the country going, oh, hey, I supported you all along. Don't forget me. I need a job. My kid needs a job. Don't forget about X, Y, and Z. You're my buddy. They're calling in favors all over the place. I had an email today from a friend of mine that said, hey, you want to serve on the transition team? Or can I put your name in? I'm like, sure. It was in education. They used to do a lot of education work. And she goes, because this is a Democrat. She goes, I need to tell my bosses basically that I can put someone in here and, and float someone who's reasonable and can support positions and at least help their conversation from there. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if I agree with you or not, but if you want to put my name in just for giggles, go right ahead, But then she sent me the information on the one bill that they were concerned about, and I was like, yeah, I can work in this framework. At the end of the day, you still have to vote these issues out, because we saw right after the election, all right, when Trump, almost a day or two after, said, I'm going to support pre-existing condition on the Affordable Care Act and having kids your age still be able to be on the parents' health insurance plan. Right. So it's not going to be a total repeal, what it looks like, and I don't think it ever was. And if you don't have the votes, that's just reality in politics, and it's time to start walking it back to what you can get done. And I have in front of me a copy of the book, Trump: The Art of the Deal. And for the listeners out there in Amanda Chaseland, if you are looking to understand your president a little bit better, you might want to read the #1 national best-selling book by our president-elect, Donald Trump. And I read a little bit of it a couple months ago when he got out and started making his rounds and getting some traction and winning primaries. I was like, this guy might have a chance. Actually, met with a D.C. inside lobbyist. Dun 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 dun. Back in February, we were having dinner, and he was in a sweat. I mean, he's a Republican. He was going to RNC conventions. I don't know, back in the 70s. And he goes, "Tell me, Chris, can Trump win?" I said, "It's over." This is February 13th. This was Valentine's weekend. I'm up in D.C. for our daughter's volleyball tournament, so I remember it clearly. It was snowing. It's cold. We're the only people in this Thai restaurant in Georgetown. And he goes, "What do you mean it's over?" I'm like, he's going to win. You need to get used to this. Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. He's had his death stare, like, oh my God, are you kidding? This is inside the Beltway, D.C. lobbyist, Republican. He was scared because he didn't know what to do. And this is what I think a lot of voters voted for, was to disrupt the political system. And if you look at the numbers, it really bears this out. In Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, if you combine the win total for Donald Trump in just those three states, it was about 107,000 votes. If you take the surrounding counties around Washington, D.C., Montgomery County in Maryland, Prince George's County, Arlington, Alexandria, and Fairfax, and the District of Columbia, it's over a 1 million vote margin for Hillary Clinton. That was the election. Since well before your time. Okay, and even when I was a 9-year-old, Watergate was sort of the seminal moment in modern political history, with the resignation of a president. From there on out, only one time has an insider, quote unquote, won the presidency. In 1976, outsider Jimmy Carter. In 1980, outsider Ronald Reagan, re-elected 84. The difference was in 1988 when Vice President George H.W. Bush won election. From there, it's been outsider. Bill Clinton, 1992, governor of Arkansas. Governor of Texas, George W. Bush. 2008, Barack Obama. Single term, first termer, 4 years in. He's considered an outsider. He ran from Illinois. And then the insiders that have lost, McCain, Romney, Mondale, Dukakis, well, not Dukakis. That has been always, since Watergate, this insider-outsider game. And I think that's one of the issues that people glossed over when they looked at this election. It's a change election. She was D.C. He was running against D.C. He just waved the flag that I'm running against D.C. I'm calling it out, right? It's all going. Right? And a lot of people said, oh, yeah, blow it up, blow the system up, disrupt it. Well, who was D.C.? It was former First Lady, former United States Senator, former Secretary of State, regardless of the issues and the emails and this kind of stuff. I think in the heart of hearts, a lot of voters said, I want change. And that came down to not voting for Senator Clinton, Secretary Clinton. So we're looking at numbers. If you look at, and we'll dive into this a little bit more as we go along. But it really came down to, because it looks like Hillary Clinton's going to have over a million popular vote margin, which is difficult for some people on social media to understand and grasp, because they're going, oh, no, that's not true. And I actually had an email thread with a guy I've known for about 10 years, and he is convinced that Donald Trump is going to win the popular vote because he saw it on social media, regardless of the fact that he is not going to get the popular vote. It doesn't matter. We have the Electoral College. But if you total up the Electoral College votes between Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Florida, and North Carolina that he carried, that swept the election, it was 108 electoral votes total. And we'll talk more about that coming back from the break. And we're back in the studio, AM 820 WNTW, The Answer. Joining me in studio today is Madison Harry of Caroline County and Will Fahrenhold of Gloucester County, interns in Senator Amanda Chase's office. Y'all better be getting ready, because Senator Chase is at the Senate Finance Retreat. They're down in Blacksburg, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Blacksburg.
I always kid her she's now the establishment, since she's controlling our money, and she's got all the power.
Oh, yeah.
So I like to.
Dark
to
back
judge it.
rooms.
Yeah, oh yeah, the dark back rooms, smoke-filled rooms.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, trust me, I've been in those meetings. They're helpful. They get stuff done. But there was this anti-establishment movement. It's been going on for quite a while. And I think it's real important for the radio audience to understand that there's a lack of trust in our political system. There's a lack of trust in a lot of our society, quite frankly. And that has fueled a lot of the anger, because anger is a fear-based emotion. Anger is fear-based, and the anger is directed at what people are fearful of losing, and a lot of that came out in this election, in a lot of capacities, in a lot of areas, a lot of demographics. The overriding sentiment coming out of the election was that this was a massive white lash, or rural white working class people came out and didn't support Hillary Clinton, the Democrats. And there was a lot of, and you've seen the articles that have come out since then, there was a lot of dissension within the Democratic Party strategically on how to play this out, because they didn't see Wisconsin going. They didn't see Michigan going. Pennsylvania, rural Pennsylvania, that's always been like the bait of all baits for Republicans. They go, oh, we'll go to Pennsylvania. We've got a chance in Pennsylvania. And I kept saying no. The only time you can tell if the Republicans have a chance in Pennsylvania is if the Democrats are campaigning there in the last weekend of the election.
Yeah.
And where were they?
Pennsylvania.
Where in Pennsylvania, though?
Philly.
Madison? Yeah. Where in Philly?
You're getting real specific.
Nail it. Where were they?
Metro Philly?
Downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Downtown. That when in 2008, I was the McCain co-chair with John McCain and John Warner and Bob McDonnell and George Allen. And we're flying around with McCain the last weekend. And we're doing the McCain Express and giving the speeches and all this kind of stuff. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. We're flying, we're circling Dulles. And McCain taps me on the shoulder. He's sitting right behind me. And he goes, hey, Chris, how are we doing in Virginia? And all I could think was, dude, you're here. You shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I need you in Pennsylvania if we're going to win. You're in Virginia. That means you're losing Virginia. Barack Obama's campaigned in Harrisonburg. And I'm from the Valley. That's not just red. That's deep burgundy. That means he's in your territory. It's an allocation game. It's a money game. When you're taking resources and putting it into Harrisonburg, that means you're winning everywhere else you need to win. That's not a good sign. And I've told audiences, not just on radio, but when I've spoken to groups, I said you can see all the polls you want to, and I caution anyone about reading polls, because there's always something terribly, terribly wrong at some point in polls. Internals in the campaign will tell you a lot, because that's what dictates what they do, where they spend their money, how much they spend their money, and where they physically go. And after that Comey letter dropped, week and a half out of the election, they changed their game. They were going to go to Arizona. I mean, Anita Kumar with McClatchy tweeted out half an hour before the Comey letter hit, hey, we're scheduled to go to Arizona now, which means it's going to be a big win because they're trying to eat into more of the map. They were trying to get Arizona and Texas and Georgia. That's been the play for Democrats to try to expand the blue map, if you will. But when that came out, they started changing their schedules, and you saw that. And when they went to Philadelphia, and they had Barack Obama in Philadelphia, they had Bruce Springsteen, John Bon Jovi, that means they had a problem turning out their base in Philadelphia. That means Pennsylvania was really in play. And then you saw some head fakes. There's always these head fakes in politics. Like we'll say we'll go over here and we'll tell the other team we think we can win here, and they'll hopefully take resources and divert them over there. Mm-hmm. And that's how you play the game of politics. I mean, there's only so much money. Even there's a lot of money, there's only so much of it. So when you saw the map changing, and y'all were watching it, and we were talking in the break about, we saw the states accumulating, the Electoral College, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And then it became, all right, so we're here. Mm-hmm. Now what's going to happen, right? If you total them all up, we said Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, total 108 electoral votes. Yes. That's huge. Mm-hmm. Huge numbers right there. But Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan only won by about 1%. And they still haven't called Michigan. Yeah. He still wins, right? But the last time Republicans won Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania was in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, I didn't vote in the 80s. I'm 51. You just have to understand that for you students out there, since I have two. What do y'all study? Madison, what are you studying?
Political science.
Okay.
Poli-sci. Yep.
Poli-sci. Yeah, I took poli-sci my first semester at Washington, and I got a D. Okay? Now this is what I do for a profession, if you can imagine. Turnabout's fair play. But the professor's name his nickname was Easy D Hughes. And so it was easy. I got a D. That was a tough course. But anyway, that shows you how much this is not Reagan's party anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm 51. I've served in the legislature. I've done a lot of things politically. I never voted for Ronald Reagan. I'm 51. That means everyone underneath me probably didn't either. So then people are running, I'm a Reagan conservative. People are going,
what does that mean?
Right.
Doesn't exist.
Right. Have you seen my new app? It doesn't translate to the new generation, the millennials, right? What is that? When someone says, oh, I'm a Reagan Republican. What do you just gloss over and go, really? Is that all we got? Is a Reagan conservative? Because the other book I have here in studio is Conscience of a Conservative, Barry Goldwater. I picked this up in a bookstore in Lexington, Virginia. I started reading it in college. I was like, what's this guy all about? I heard he went to the Stanton Military Academy, senator, ran for president in 1964, a year before I was born. I pick up the guy's book. It's a small book, right?
Very small.
But it lays out conservative philosophy from the 1960s, which still was predicated a lot on being anti-Soviet Union, anti-communism. Yeah. Okay, you probably don't remember this, right?
I have read things.
It's beyond painful. I'm a former history teacher, too. You guys are killing me. But the closeness of this election and the ideological shift that has occurred from Barry Goldwater in 1964, this is what I'm holding up in my hands right now. You can see this, and you can visualize it at home. And then you have Trump are the deal. Okay, these are two very different ideological positions within the Republican Party. And people say, well, what's he going to do? He's going to make deals, to me. Mm-hmm. Right? This is not a conservative revolution that 1980 was.
No, this isn't movement conservatism. This is pragmatism, I think.
Is it pragmatism?
You think so?
I don't know. I'm asking you. You're the one who brought it up.
I think so.
Okay, define pragmatism.
I think he's going to be willing to get things done.
Is that pragmatism, though?
And the way I see it.
Is I'm pushing back here a little bit. I'm a former teacher. Bear with me.
Okay.
Define pragmatism.
Because
people are. She's googling. She's googling. That's that a girl.
Anything.
Trading. Horse trading in a way. I mean,
that's just dealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is the basis between pragmatism? We'll be back.
will fight till the end. Doesn't matter what the world brings against me. I will fight.
And we're back, AM 820, WNTW, The Answer, The Amanda Chase Show, cutting to the chase with Amanda Chase's interns, Will and Madison. Great to have you all here in studio. We're talking the election. Trump, 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 Trump. Isn't that going to be fun for a while? Trump, 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 Trump. That's going to annoy everyone. You come up behind someone at ATM. Trump, 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 Trump. Just to annoy them. But it's been an exciting year and a half in politics. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of it, even though it's sort of what I should be doing, but it's just so overbearing.
It's in your face.
I didn't watch any of the debates.
Yeah.
Didn't watch any of the debates.
Primaries?
I watched all of them.
I couldn't. I mean, it was just. I mean, no. I just was like, ugh, here we go. I mean, no. I had better things to do than to watch 17 people debate the same issues over and over and over ad nauseum to basically no end. And it was just so what was going to happen was going to happen. There's certain things are out of your control. But we're back talking about politics, Trump, and the aftermath of the election. We're 10 days past. And then can we be honest here? Trump barely won.
Barely, yeah.
Barely won.
It was no landslide.
No landslide. Everyone's going, oh, this landslide, blowout victory.
Yeah.
What are you watching? I mean, did you actually read the box score? This thing was tick tight, right?
Tight.
Yeah.
Tight. Less than 1%, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. If that thing flips, this is gone for the Republicans, for Trump. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina. What do they all have in common going into the election except for Pennsylvania? Kids. Political science majors. Don't look. No Googling.
I was just pragmatism.
Well, with the
Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina. What do they all have in common?
with the exception of North Carolina, Obama carried them all in 2012 and 2008.
Try again.
Not yet.
They all had Republican governors.
Oh.
That means they had a political infrastructure. Pennsylvania just switched over in 2015. That means they had on the ground a political infrastructure that was able to coincide with the social media, shall we say, inundation from Trump.
Yes.
Free and earned media is the gold mine of politics.
Yeah.
For a politician, free and earned media. It doesn't cost you anything. If you get on the radio or they print your name, what does the politician say? Hey, I don't care what they say, as long as they spell my name right.
Press, yeah.
As long as they spell my name right. You can say anything you want to, spell my name right. If you put a picture in there, God bless you. Right? That's just free exposure. Trump dominated that. Didn't have to spend money, but he got $2 billion worth of free advertising. Because any radio show, TV show was more than willing to say, hey, you want to come on our rate and cut our show? Absolutely.
Yeah.
He said yes every time.
Right. So when the polls came, why is Trump doing so well? Because that's all the audience heard. That's all the people who were polling heard. And then they started listening to him and going, oh, what's he all about? Mm-hmm. And what we were talking about earlier was pragmatism. You said he was pragmatic. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to drill down. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Will. But, pragmatism, I think, is a philosophy of what works.
Yes.
And that's, I think your generation in particular enjoys that more so than most because you have your phone in front of you. If you can click a button having pizza and not deliver in half an hour, y'all are upset. Right?
Very, yeah.
Right. Why?
Because instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you're also trained. It should be here.
It should be.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We want it to be here. We're raised in a generation where, like, if you click something and it doesn't work, then there's something wrong with it, and we don't understand why there's something wrong with it. Like, if my mom clicks something on her phone and it doesn't work, she's like, oh, stupid phone, she puts it down. If I click something on my phone and it doesn't work, I'm calling Apple. I'm like, what's wrong? Like,
That's right.
like, I'm mad.
There's something wrong in the cosmic universe.
Yes, like, this is tragic.
This
This is a
This
tragedy.
is a total meltdown opportunity.
It's not loading.
Right, and I think as a society we've gotten so used to having things readily at our fingertips that this is the part about having it translate to politics, and this is where the disruption of this election has really shaken the very foundation. This is where the election is big. It wasn't without consequence. It just wasn't that big of a margin.
Right.
Fair to say?
Fair, yes.
Fair to say. And this is where the magnitude of the election far outweighs the margin of the election. Mm-hmm. And that's something that politicians going forward are going to recalibrate on. Mm-hmm. And the Democratic Party, people say, oh, the Democratic Party, they're going away. They're going to implode. No, they're not. They're going to adjust. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks out, people said, oh, the Republican Party is going to implode. Yeah. It's going to go away. It's going to be replaced. Something else will come up in its place. No, it's not.
No.
It's going to adjust, and it's still going to adjust because it has to adjust for Mr. Trump, who is, as we were talking during the break, is he really a Republican?
No.
You don't think?
I really don't think so.
At least not as we understood it for the last, since the 80s.
He's
Since the
not
80s
a
probably.
Reagan Republican.
Yeah.
Well, he certainly didn't grow up in the Republican Party.
No.
He took over.
Yes.
He won the primaries. He won the nomination all by his lonesome. And I think one of the compelling reasons why he won is that he said to people, I'm going to spend my own money, my own skin in the game. That's real for people.
That is.
That says a lot.
That's
that means you
sacrifice,
believe.
yeah.
We'll be back. Okay, that's not the song I would have picked to come out of a break too, but what are you going to do? I wish I had my own walk-up music.
Yeah.
That was my signature song, Enter the Saxman.
That's good.
Metallica.
That's good.
Get it?
No, I get it.
Enter the
Enter
Saxman.
Sunday,
Thank you.
yeah.
This is Chris Saxman filling in for Amanda Chase on the Amanda Chase Show, cutting to the chase. Senator Amanda Chase is away on retreat with the Senate Finance Committee of the General Assembly, learning about the state budget and what cuts are going to be coming up, quite frankly, due to lower than expected revenues, and what the Senate Finance Committee is going to be putting forward in the General Assembly session. Important work, real important work, and we thank all the senators, regardless of party, for their service to the Commonwealth and the House of Delegates members, and of course the governor and his cabinet. They do great work for the Commonwealth when we're not watching, but it's our job to pay attention, and that's why it's a great thing that Senator Amanda Chase has his radio show to engage her constituents, take their questions if they so choose. We're going to give you the opportunity to tell me how terribly wrong I am at 804-454-1366. 804-454-1366. Set that for speed dial. I'll be back, I think, during session while Senator Chase is helping the Commonwealth out in the General Assembly. We talked about Donald Trump barely winning.
Yes.
Done. We've covered that, right? All right. Key what's not being talked about are the Republican governors in those states.
Right.
Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania up until 2015, Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, all had Republican governors. Key to the ground game that gets the message out, the brand built up, and sort of the yin and the yang to the social media blitzing that was going on. I think it's an understated part of the win for Donald Trump. But let's talk about Senator Clinton. It's real important to understand in politics why certain things happen, why voters vote, why they don't vote, why they don't show up. And I wrote a column on this on my blog, chrissaxman.com, why I thought Hillary Clinton lost. And I think she had a lack of why.
Yeah.
I still don't know why she ran for president, other than she wanted to be president. And a lot of candidates fall into this trap. They want to serve in the House, they want to be in Congress, they want to be mayor, whatever it is. They have to when they knock on doors and shake hands and converse with voters, they have to be able to share their vision about what they want to do, right? When you go to college, you go to college, you get a degree, right?
Yes.
Why?
So that I can get a job.
There you go. Hey,
Simple enough.
my daughter wants to get a job, I'm going to cut that check.
Right.
I'll support that. She knows what she wants to do. My daughters have never had that problem.
No, we don't have that problem.
Bless, they sure don't. It's so expensive. Well, why did you go to college?
Just greater employment opportunities in the future, and
Is it about a job?
largely,
It is.
yeah.
Largely.
When it comes down to it,
Okay, that's your self-interest, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone in politics and everyone who votes, I think, ultimately votes for themselves. You know what the issues you vote on.
you're looking out for your own interests. I mean,
Sure, your own beliefs, your own worldview.
yeah.
Yes.
And so when people, and this is one of the things I try to stress in politics today, people with whom you don't agree aren't necessarily wrong. They have a different worldview. And if you can agree to facts, then you can have a conversation.
That was something that I started to notice in college. In fact, it was just that no matter what ideological strand you where you stand, it's about your values. It's not about having the perfect information. Like both sides have their own facts that back up what they think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of politics, because the art of politics, the art of the deal that Mr. Trump is going to be very good at, I think, is finding those areas of how we can get something done. Because he backtracked immediately on Obamacare and said, hey, we're probably going to keep the pre-existing condition, and then we'll probably keep kids on until the age of 26. Those are pretty popular things. And then what's he going to do with all those people who have insurance?
Right.
Do you cut them off in the full repeal? I don't know. That's a tough call. But what he is saying is, let's just make it better. I think the appeal of a Trump was, look, I'm not real wild about NAFTA. Let's make it better. Let's make the border better. He's not going to get everything he wants. Yeah. This is the Rolling Stones song. Please tell me you've heard of the Rolling Stones.
I've heard.
How old
the
are you
Rolling
people?
Stones.
Okay, there's a great song in there. There's
You
a great
can't
song.
always get
Can't always
what
get what you want,
Yeah.
but if you try sometimes,
You just might
find.
you get what you need.
Well, someone's getting a prize today. That is outstanding. We have an educated millennial in our midst who actually can quote Rolling Stones. You get a free bottle of water.
Oh, do I get 2?
Don't push your luck.
Okay.
No, that's the brilliance of politics, is seeing what someone else is trying to do, trying to get done what you want to get done, and then coming to a place of mutual satisfaction and actually moving the ball forward. And I think a lot of people are upset with the gridlock. But I think ultimately Hillary Clinton had a problem with the why, the big why. Why was she there? In 2007, in January 2007, she ran for president. She announced. A year later, Politico ran an article on Senator Clinton's campaign. She was trying to find a slogan, a reason. A year later.
Yeah.
And 8 years later, I still don't know why.
I'm with her. That's what it is.
That was the slogan. I'm like, okay, but I think for people,
But why?
but there has to, because why you need that is because when you get into the muck and mire of politics, you have to have something that transcends the dailiness,
Yes.
that keeps you focused on the horizon, like life does. Your belief system could be your belief in your faith in God, right? Because when you're down, what's getting you through?
Your faith. Or
Right. Or whatever it is.
Right.
It is your why. Right.
Your why.
It's a governing thought process. And I had above my office in the General Assembly, I had a big why. Poster board put up. And it wasn't because I recognized this. It was pointed out to me. I was at a barbecue, fundraising event, small little thing. And the guys who were putting on the barbecue said, why are you running for office? I said, well, I want to be in the General Assembly, represent these people, grew up here, been a businessman, cha-cha-cha. And they said, no. Why are you running? And I realized I didn't have that compelling reason, or haven't been able to articulate, or I haven't brought it up and said, this is why I'm running. And you can put it on a bumper sticker, 5 words or less. This is why I'm running.
Right.
And I think Secretary Clinton, had that problem. And the people who should have been voting for her, who didn't show up, couldn't get past some of the negativity and say, I've baked that in.
Right.
Is she fighting for me? Is she trying to create jobs? I think that was part of the problem in that campaign. It's a structural problem. But it goes back to the candidate. And everyone can say, can blame this, can blame that. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, and the kids here in the audience. I don't mean to call you kids. You're 23 and 18 and probably have clothes that are older than you. But the reality is you have to go beyond that. You have to have a reason. And that's a lot of things in life and a lot of things in politics. And if you want to call in, 804-454-1366, 804-454-1366. Well, you think we could have come up with some Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want, right? You think that'd have been fun? That'd have been fun. Back in the studio here on the Amanda Chase Show, this is Chris Saxman, former member of the House of Delegates, 2002 to 2010. And joining me are Madison Harry of Caroline County, Will Fahrenholt, Gloucester County. Interns with Senator Amanda Chase, who is on vacation. Just kidding.
She says,
"Oh, can you?"
No.
Not if you keep being an intern. No, she's on the Senate Finance Retreat and figuring out how the budget's going to work coming up in the General Assembly session. We've talked about the election, and believe me, I wasn't criticizing the Hillary Clinton campaign. It's an observation in politics in general. But I thought that was a weakness in her campaign. She didn't have an overwhelming why, an underpinning. to the campaign. And when her husband ran in 1992, it was the economy stupid. It's the economy stupid. It's the economy stupid. That's why he ran. Barack Obama, Hope and Change, 2008. I mean, those are compelling. I mean, he had it not only in English, he had it in Spanish. Si se puede. Yes, we can. I mean, that is compelling. That gives people a reason to continue to go forward in the campaign when it gets hard and when it gets hot in the summer and you got to knock on doors and make phone calls. That's where the grind is in politics, and that's what you have to do. And I think Trump just had that edge, and I thought that edge prevailed barely.
Well, he had "Make America Great Again," and that's
well, he had a couple of these things: "Make America Great Again," "Build the Wall." But I think the one that really drove it home was "Drain the Swamp."
I think so. Yeah.
I think that was a compelling.
That was late too.
Well, it's also a visual.
Yeah.
"Make America Great" is kind of nebulous, it's kind of esoteric. But when you're out there and you go "Drain the Swamp," because then he started running the ads in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. You saw the big full-page ad, "Drain the Swamp."
Oh wow!
And it's a compelling. Do you not read the newspaper?
No, I'm a millennial. we don't look at print paper.
I know, and that is a huge shift in the population.
Yeah.
So when all these newspapers are out there endorsing Donald Trump, millennials are going, "Really?
Yeah.
I care about this. Why?"
I want to see it on Twitter.
Right.
Put it on Twitter, I'll believe
Give me a
it.
Snapchat reason. I'll show up. Right?
Can I retweet this?
So we had some news today. Senator Tim Kaine, on the ticket for vice presidential, announced that he would not be seeking the presidential nomination of the Democratic Party in 2020, and is going to be focused solely on winning re-election in 2018. But if you look in the press announcements, ask yourself, does he have a why? I think he does. He wants to be an elder statesman. He wants to be working with both sides. He wants to be bipartisan and get things done in Congress. I think that's the message that's coming out of this election. He's embracing that.
Right.
Which shows
Pragmatism.
Pragmatism.
He's doing what's working. Running for president's not going to work this
You're
time.
knocking it out of the park today. Will you pay attention?
I know. I'm
Get it
trying
together.
to learn from her.
That's what we all do. Trust me.
Yeah.
Throughout life, we pay attention to women in life. Go, yes, ma'am. We'll just move on. But running against her or possible Carly Fiorina,
Yes.
Tom Davis, former Congressman Tom Davis, local delegate, Richmond area, Jimmy Massey potentially running. Dave Bratt has been mentioned as a potential Senate candidate. Shaq Hill, who ran against Ed Gillespie for the nomination in 2014, and former Governor Jim Gilmore might be throwing their hats in the ring too, running against Senator Tim Kaine. So we're gonna have a lively political life here in Virginia, and we always do. We have an election every year.
It is. It's exhausting.
You're 18. Nothing's
I
exhausting.
voted in the primary.
Oh, right.
That was hard.
Go away. We'll be back. Thank you.